Yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody! Welcome to another episode of Arkosaurs Evolved. Here we like to talk about the weird and wacky creatures in Ark Survival Evolved, and how they compare to the creatures found in our world. And today, we have a creature that is so strange, it sounds more like it's fiction than fact.
We have a long video.
Yes, the runtime does not lie. We are going to have a lot to talk about with this one.
Uh-huh.
As we said last episode, Gojira will not be joining us this week. Again, he
He'll be
has
joining us
just moved
next
to Bristol.
next episode, though.
What was that?
He said so. He said he's joining us next
Yes,
episode.
hopefully.
Yes.
And I am not showing my face because I just got back from the field. I am tired and I am a mess. But I can talk.
I'm the only one tired. I just got back. I just got off a train about an hour ago, maybe. So.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Well,
Austin's fun.
speaking of feeling tired, slothful, I suppose. Shall we introduce the creature of the day?
Yes, let's introduce a monster. A genuine monster.
An absolute monster.
And actually,
this
I think
is Megatherium.
Oh god.
And actually, I'm gonna enable flying because... Well, I said fly. Why are you...
We might need to crack out measurements, by the way, because this might be accurate in size.
I did. I did already build a measurement.
Yeah.
Cage.
Oh, it is. Oh god, that's awful.
Megatherium Americanum, if we're sticking to the type species, or the originally described species. Its name is pretty simple, actually, because it was named in the late 1700s when people didn't have to try very hard.
Well, mind you...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Great American Beast describes this thing pretty well.
Wow, yeah, sure, go ahead and steal my thunder. Megatherium, great or giant beast, and Americanum, from America. And indeed, yes. It is from South America. As already said, it was found in the late 1700s, and then it was named by Georges Cuvier, who I don't believe we've talked about before, but, well, we probably should talk a little bit about him, huh?
Cool guy, from what I remember about learning about him.
Well, he is arguably one of the most important paleontologists of the early days of paleontology. And his lasting title is the Father of Extinction.
Oh, yes, which is the coolest fucking thing ever.
Yes, because his work on fossil animals, did he name Mosasaurus?
I don't know if he might have named Moses. Let me double check. I'm trying to get
him. I know Mosasaurus was like the gateway into people figuring out, things are extinct.
There's a separate Wikipedia page named for him. So, he's named... Oh my god. You know what? We'll just go to M. There's multiple separate pages of this.
He named a lot.
He did not name Mosasaurus, no.
Okay.
I'm trying...
Well, I do know Mosasaurus, at least, was like the big gateway into people accepting that, hey, yes, some things are extinct, they aren't alive anymore. And that sort of helped lay the groundwork for evolutionary theory.
He also named
and that's not the only time we'll bring up evolution in this, because Darwin has a history with these guys.
Darwin has a massive history, as we'll bring up Darwin multiple times, because Darwin has a massive history with a lot of things where this is from, as this is another South American animal. You can tell by it being weird and dumb. Not dumb, this is cool as shit. But you can tell of it being weird, as when you're an island for the entirety of the Cenozoic, you tend to get weird things, as its cousin We actually saw earlier,
Also, really
Doedicurus
quick, I'm just gonna
shows.
dunk my character in the ocean so I stop dying of thirst.
That's a good idea. But yes, it's
Go
cousin
dunk yourselves in
Doedicurus.
the ocean, folks. It's good for
Saltwater,
you.
known good for hydration. But
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, it doesn't affect me while I'm a ghost. Whoops.
yeah. But yes, that actually leads into phylogeny a bit, which I will steal because I steal
Well,
all the North.
do we want to say any more about Cuvier? Because, as
Uh,
alluded to, he is incredibly important to paleontology.
he's incredibly important to biology as well. He
Yes.
names like as just quickly skimming his page, he named a ton of modern species, most of which, from me just looking at it, appear to still be valid,
Oh no,
which
I've
is
lost my giant
insane.
sloths.
I'm
Oh
trying to
dear.
see if there's anything else on him. Mind you, he's a he only has one thing named in his honor. That seems
Oh, there's a
weird.
lot of things named after him. That's
No,
not
there's only
right.
one. It appears only one taxon, but that seems wrong.
No, I
And
know there's more. I've heard of
there's an island
Cuvier
named
Island.
after him. Oh, okay. It's their scientific names tend to not be, but like there's Cuvier's beaked whale, Cuvier's gazelle, Cuvier's toucan, Cuvier's dwarf caiman. Oh no,
I'm
the
certain there's at
tiger
least
shark.
one dinosaur.
Tiger shark's named after him. There's a ground sloth named after him. And he's named it Edgar Allan Poe. It doesn't. There's not a dinosaur now. I don't see many works on dinosaurs.
Um, well, a lot of his work, because he lived in the late 1700s, a lot of his work was done before most work on dinosaurs was done. Um,
Yeah, he worked
but
on
his
mammals.
work in general was still very important.
He he named some very important things. He named Megalonyx, Megatherium. Wait,
Well, I
Oh no,
mean,
he named
maybe
Pterodactylus.
a species of Megalonyx.
No, he named the Megalonyx. It
Oh,
says
I thought the type species was Jeffersoni.
it is. Wait, what? Wait. Oh, did he work on Megalonyx? Oh no, he worked on Megalonyx. Excuse me. He also worked on
Okay.
Pterodactylus. He worked on Mastodon. He worked on the cave bear, which I need to double check what Ursus cave bear. Thank you. He
Okay,
worked on
and sorry, he didn't name Mosasaurus, but he did describe it.
yes. He's a
So
lot
it
of does
was
a lot
his
of
work
describing.
on it that helped the
Yes.
floodgates for evolution.
No, he's very important. Was he racist? A thing I need to check because he's in paleontology. Um,
I mean, he was a person who
kind
lived in
of.
the 1700s.
Well, yes. I'm seeing how evil he was. Mm, he was a Protestant. All men were descended from Adam. That is a good start. But he does agree that Adam split up into three races: Caucasian, Mongolian, Ethiopian. Um, he did claim that Adam and Eve were Caucasian, which was the original, and then the they all went out. Um, he does mention that any changes in race, if they were to exist, would be only environmental and not due to any lesser form. So, for the time, pretty upstanding guy.
I mean that's good to hear. But,
Yeah. Still.
and and for the record, yes, people were racist in the past. No, it was not okay, but times do change to a degree.
Yes.
Because a big example just in evolution, like by modern standards, Darwin would be considered a flamboyant racist. But at the
Oh,
time,
yes.
he was an abolitionist. He believed that all humans were the same species. Like, it doesn't excuse racism of the past, but I think
Yeah.
context is important. Oh,
And the
I
reason
am
why I
following.
check is because, yes, is because if you didn't know, paleontology as a science, now, like some other biology sciences, anthropology especially, but paleontology has a very
Oh,
bad history.
anthropology.
Yeah, and has a very bad history of a lot of evil people. Um, when we get to T-Rex, we'll talk about one of them. Um, or Brontosaurus, we'll talk about him.
Um, we'll talk about a few people.
Well, I'm talking about the person who said Hitler was right and also named T-Rex. So,
uh,
oops. But yeah, so I always have to double check, as it does seem that early on, paleontology was done by, well, yes, at the time, pretty forward-thinking people. It devolved into people believing if they could prove where humans came from, they could prove their ideals.
and they could
And
prove that one race was better than the others.
which wasn't the initial thought of paleontologists. Most of them thought that, well, yes, Caucasian was original, that doesn't mean any of the rest were lesser. It just means they were different because they believed in evolution, which, well, which supports the idea where they're coming from. But anyways, we've talked
Yeah,
on a tangent.
that's a whole different conversation.
Oh yeah, well,
And
I
we're here.
talked.
Well,
Well,
we're here to talk about a sloth.
yeah, my very good sloth. But yes,
Yes.
Megatherium.
Again, named by Cuvier in 1796 or
Yes.
1797. Um, but there have been a lot of species discovered, and just a few decades later, several of them were discovered by Charles Darwin, who we mentioned earlier. On
Who
his famous voyage on the Beagle, they circled around South America, and oh boy, he found a lot of extinct animals.
Yes. Now, mind you, it appears all of the species named by Darwin are either they've been turned into other things. I'm almost positive Ermatherium is one of them, a close relative of that. I can double check. It's not. That's interesting. But Darwin named a lot of things. Some Megatheriums, which no longer appear to be valid. They're probably split up into other species, as Megatherium is a wastebasket taxon and probably our first one, if I'm thinking correctly.
Allosaurus.
Allosaurus isn't as bad as Megatherium.
True. Oh man, when we get to Iguanodon,
There you go. There's one. Or Megalosaurus. Um,
do you want to define that, or would you like me to?
yes, I can. A wastebasket taxon is described as, well, it's where you just throw things in. So every single giant ground sloth at the time, because during paleontology, there was early days of
Hi.
paleontology, there was
Oh,
thought
that would
that,
be why I keep dying of water. Whoops.
oh, yeah, you're overheating.
Yeah, apparently I'm too well insulated.
Yeah,
Just a second, gonna fly back to the ocean.
have fun. Um, it was thought that,
Oh, my game might have crashed.
oop, hello, oh no,
Oh
we're
no,
good?
I died!
Oh, well then. Well, dock spawns, I will explain what I was going through. Um, it was thought early on that basically a lot of things were like today, where if something looks very similar, it's probably the same species, which is, if you've ever learned about today, a rare thing where you get. It appears that globally distributed species and sorry, genera, I should say, appear to be a thing that's new to today. It's mind you, we don't have a lot of evidence or proof because the fossil record's incomplete. But
You said the thing!
I did. But yes, so wastebasket taxons were developed early on because they thought, oh, well, I'm just finding similar things. They all must be the same thing. So every single giant ground sloth and a few non-giant ground sloths were named Megatherium and were
Oh,
eventually split. And eventually later, thanks to DNA evidence and genes, because it's a mammal, and pretty, and actually pretty young in terms of
Very
time.
young.
We learned that giant ground sloths were insanely diverse, so much so that the two living sloths today aren't that closely related at all. Um, they are related in the term that they are sloths, and then you might think, oh, well, there's only two sloths today. Sloth?
Today.
Only two living sloths today, right? Or is there five?
Oh, I was just emphasizing the today.
Oh, okay. I thought you were questioning me, which feel free to. But sloths are very diverse, as their other relatives, Xenarthrans, were. And that leads me into phylogeny, because I'm going to steal this. Um, this is a mammal, if you couldn't tell by it being hairy. But it is a special type of mammal that is only native to South America, and I think very recently, native to North America. Um, called a
After the
Xenarth.
land bridge connected, yes.
Yeah. So, called a Xenarthrans. Now, Xenarthrans are known by a few traits. I'm going to get them up just in case. But one of their main
Yes.
traits, and
And while
something,
you do pull them up, this is the third and final Xenarthran we will be talking about in this series.
and the best one.
Which, it is the best one. And it's kind
Yeah.
of sad to see them go, but we have a lot to talk about.
Yes. Xenarthrans are described as having, they appear to have really, they have extra joints, and they have extra vertebral joints, which you may know as Xenarthrans have 9 vertebrae, unlike, I don't know if it's Xenarthrans or sloths. It might just be sloths.
Neck vertebrae.
Yes,
And
they
I
have
think
9 neck
it
vertebrae.
might only be one species of sloth,
No,
but I
I
could be
believe it's all
wrong.
sloths. I believe it's all sloths. Because I think ground sloths have 9 vertebrae too, neck vertebrae. Um, the main thing though is they have massive arm attachments. All Xenarthrans appear to, and this is predicted they actually evolved from diggers. Their arms tend to be huge and very well developed, especially for their size. Um,
Hmm.
which is scary when you get to the size of an elephant. Um,
Which these absolutely were.
yes, they
Um,
also. Oh, you go
just
first.
speak. Oh, just speaking really quick. I've been to a few museums in my time, including the Field Museum in Chicago and the American Museum of Natural History, both of which have Megatherium mounts. Yeah, this is about the right size,
Yeah, there's
which is terrifying.
I believe a Megalonyx, I think, or an Megatherium at the Harvard Museum. Yeah, it's huge,
Yeah,
and
there we go.
yeah, no, this is about the right size, which is massive. Um, its feet are wrong, by the way.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, but yeah, it's another thread. It's specifically, it's a pilosa, which pilosias are, basically everything that aren't armadillos, from what I understand.
They appear to
Yeah,
be, yeah.
yeah, everything are armadillos and Xenarthrans, so they're sloths and anteaters, as a
Yep.
very much a broad scope. Um, and they are specifically defined, I believe, by that initially they're defined as lack of fur, which, so no, not lack of fur, the ones with fur, which seem to be real actually, as um Singulata, as we talked before, almost all of them have armor. There's the ones with belts, and almost all of them do. Um,
Hmm.
and then they are specifically folivores or folivoria, which means leaf eaters, because they are named when sloths were a thing. And this is
Yes.
specifically,
Leaf eaters to chop out the anteaters.
yes, which are called worm eaters,
Yes.
actually.
Which we will talk about anteaters more later because they took a bit of inspiration from them with this design, which I really appreciate.
Yes. Um, they are also, specifically, this sloth is a megathere. And the megatheres are defined. Not much. I actually don't know the difference off the top of my head between megatheres and mylodonts. Um,
I do
I
not know either.
um
It might be a difference in body shape if I had to guess, but
let
I
me
could be.
check. Um Megatheriums appear to be I I'm trying to check. I couldn't know. We might only know based on it appears that we only know based on DNA and mitochondria
Huh.
sequences, which feels
I mean,
weird, but
that does happen.
yeah. Um yeah, it appears that. Now mind you, um that can happen, and with real species, it does appear to pan out that, especially
Hmm.
with some DNA from, because we have DNA of some of these things, of how recent they are, that it does pan out that megatheriums and mylodonts were separate and a separate radiation. They are referred to very much so as the megatheriums are the three toads and mylodonts are the two toads. Now there are both that have more than those. I think Megatherium has four, and I think I can double check. I should do
I
that.
I
It has
believe
four,
they have
yeah.
at least 3 on their hands.
They have four in their hands. It looks like,
Okay.
yeah, they definitely have four, if not five, because they may actually have a thumb. But
Let me
um,
let me look while you keep talking.
yes, and this specifically is a Megathere, as I said before. It is a Megatherid. It is a Megatherinae. It is a
They
Megatherium.
have 5.
They have five. Aha!
They have 5.
But so this is where we get some of the funny things. That this is a megatheroid, a megatherid, a megatherinae, megatherium.
Well,
Sometimes you
let,
get
let me correct you there. Megatheroid, Megatheriid, Megatherine,
megatherine.
Megatherium.
Yes, sorry, megatherine. Ugh. Sometimes you get funny things like that. That happens when
Tyrannosaur, 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 Tyrannosaur.
you missed one Tyrannosaur. There's five. I yes. I'm sorry. My hatred for Tyrannosaurs is stemming from one of my colleagues at work. Um,
Oh, I wonder which one.
it's not Scott. I can tell you that much.
Oh, well, never mind. Never mind. No, okay.
Eh, but yes, so, um, and with that, we will, mind you, we'll be talking about both sides of the coin, because since this is a Xenarthran and the last Xenarthran, we'll be talking about most of them, and because it's a proper giant ground sloth, and giant ground sloths did weird things.
Some might
If
even
this,
call it the giant ground sloth.
oh, this is the giant ground sloth. It is the originator of the term,
Hmm?
which, when we get to them, so as we look at giant ground sloths, that they're weird. One, they walk on their knuckles. And
Yes,
it's not,
which I appreciate that this guy does.
yeah, they definitely walked on their knuckles, which is weird. Um,
Um,
and
and just real quick for the record, walking on your knuckles is just a weird thing to do. Like in
oh yeah,
modern species, I think primates are primates the only examples in modern day.
and gorillas are the only ones that do it naturally. From what I understand, chimpanzees, while they do it, they don't like to do it. Orangutans don't. Gibbons don't. I don't know if
Well,
monkeys
I
do.
th- I
Monkeys
thought it was
might.
more that I thought it was more that gorillas and chimps evolved it independently.
That might be it, but I know gorilla. Well, what I mean is that gorillas aren't arboreal. They're completely
Females
cursorial.
are and are juveniles.
Yes, but males aren't.
It's the silverbacks that aren't.
Yeah. While chimpanzees are arboreal and like to be in the trees, even female
Yes.
gorillas like to be on the ground more, from what I understand about gorillas. Um,
They sleep in the trees
they do sleep in the trees, but they
usually.
forage on the ground. and stay on the ground.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, so it's very weird to evolve to walk on your knuckles, and Pilosia in genera Pilosia, that appears to be the natural form, as all living cursorial. Is cursorial the right word for this? Or is
Uh,
cursorial
terrestrial.
terrestrial is a better word? Yeah.
Cursorial
Appear
is
to
running. Terrestrial is just on the ground.
Yeah, you're right. All terrestrial Pilosia walk on their knuckles. Tamanduas do, and all anteaters do. Um, Sloths don't, but that's because sloths have hyper modified their arms to hang from trees. But giant ground sloths, all of them walk on their knuckles. So, and I don't know
Oh,
if we know of
Calcatheers did too, didn't they? Or at least some
Calcatheers
did.
did. Calcatheers are proposed to have. I don't know if we have. Um, uh, I don't know if we have evidence that they actually did. Let me check Moripus, because that's a thing we know a lot about.
I don't think Meropus did.
Let me try Cal.
I don't know. I could be wrong. And
Yes,
we'll get more into that with Calcatherium, I guess.
yes, that's a good point. So I will not check that now. But yes, walking knuckles is weird, and I don't know why you tend to only do it if you need your hands, but are too big
Mhm.
to not do that. Which, well, this is an elephant-sized animal, which so we know why it walked on its knuckles, as when you get this
Yes.
big, unless you're
Allow me to just walk next to the conveniently placed
which is about
elephantid.
which is actually about the size of Paleoloxodon. I
Yeah, it's a little
realized.
big.
Yeah, but it fits for a big elephant, and goddamn, this is a monster. This is a
Oh,
monster made
absolutely.
real.
Both are.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but
Um,
yes, the size of an elephant, estimated up to, if not over, 4 tons for the largest individuals,
7 tons.
and like 20 feet long.
Yeah. Um, what is it? Yeah, 4 to 7 tons. At least that's a
Yeah, too
Megatherium.
big.
Oh god, yeah.
Too big
Eh,
for anything, but especially a giant sloth monster.
especially something that's defined by having stronger arms than for its size. That again, what? This thing. Well, you know what? We'll reference Walking with Beasts because it gives a perfect example. If you've seen the best episode of Walking with Beasts, or second best in my opinion, but
Ooh,
most people agreed the best episode of Walking with Beasts, Saber Teeth, you may recognize Megatherium because I believe that's Megatherium in that, right?
I believe so.
Yes. You see a point where it walks up to a Smilodon and literally flings it like a rag doll, like a
Just
bats
slaps
it,
it.
and just flies dead instantly. That's real. I guarantee, because this thing did live with Smilodon. Um, this lived with Smilodon Populator, the big one.
I believe so.
I guarantee that. While depends if what this thing was probably a prey item for Smilodon Populator. If the pride
Oh,
dynamic that
mm, so, sorry, I disagree. Maybe as a baby, as an adult, I don't think there was anything on the continent that would touch these things.
disagree, because if the
Oh,
evidence that Smilodon was a pack animal, which we have a lot of evidence for, fits in, I guarantee there are Smilodon's prides that specialize in Megatherium, like there are lion prides that specialize in elephants.
but even the lion prides that will hunt elephants don't go for healthy adults. They go for
Mm,
babies.
no, they don't. There are some that specialize specifically in like adult bulls or like
Are
females.
you sure? I've never heard of that.
Oh, let me get this. Elephant hunting lion prides. Um, yes. Um, yeah, 4 to 10 years of age. That's not a young elephant. That's only 3 of them. But there are prides that I've seen videos them take down like not full adults, no, but pretty big juveniles. And they
Huh.
specialize in it too. Like they teach it. Yeah.
Okay,
Um.
that is actually shocking to me.
Yeah. So I guarantee. So it probably was uncommon, but I guarantee there were prides that specialize in certain things. There are probably prides that specialized in glyptodons that like could flip them over and stuff. There are prides that specialized in like macrochenia, which you assume what macrochenia is. Um, weird thing. Um,
Weird for sure. I'll just go
mac
ahead and pop it up. I don't think it has a trunk anymore, but it's
maybe
still weird. And in an
we
order of, is it a full-on order of mammals that is just completely extinct?
yes, but I'm almost
No, they're
positive.
members of Ungulata, so not order, but
I think there's either there's one living relative. There's one.
editing doc fact check.
Yes. So, mind you, we'll talk about this in the Sabretooth video, even though the thing in this game is not a Sabretooth at all. It's
Oh
something
no,
else.
it's not.
I actually have a guess of what it actually is. But
Derived
um
Panthera.
oh, I think it's Panthera Atrox. It's the best one for it. I think it's Panthera Atrox. Like almost
Okay.
full stop. But yeah. Again, South America is a mess. I don't know if we have terror birds
Yes.
by the time this thing's around. Its cousins met with terror birds.
Yes, we have. Well,
Is Titanus
when were the
around?
latest surviving terror birds?
Let me check Titanus.
Uh,
Titanus is 1.8. So yeah, no.
that's old enough for at least some giant ground sloths.
That's old enough for Megatherium. It's wait 5 to 1.8. Megatherium's 5 to 10,000. So yeah, Megatherium met those thing, very much so.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in that Walking with Beast episode, wasn't it portrayed with Forrest Raucus?
Yes, which shouldn't. Forest Arcus is too old for Megatherium.
Yeah, it's a
And
lot older.
Smilodon. I think Forest Arcus is 30 million or 20 million years old. Forest Arcus met Sebekids, which Sebekids were awful monstrosities. Actually, that brings me to something else. We didn't talk about this in Glyptodon, but it appears that especially ground sloths, they have a. We actually mentioned this in the previous week's episode, or either that I think. Yes.
What did we mention?
But
Sorry, I was reading.
it appears that almost all native South American mammals have in their fur they secrete a gland that makes them less reactive to ultraviolet light.
To UV light, yeah.
Yes.
Which
And that's
So, dirty little secret, I have not finished editing that video yet. Do you have a source for that?
oh, let me grab it.
That I can just flash up on screen during that?
I don't ultraviolet light south. I just know of it. I have not read a paper on it. Mind you, it makes complete sense.
I mean, I don't doubt that it's possible. It's just, it's one of those things I'd never heard before.
Mammals glow in the dark, blah, 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 blah. There is a paper on it, and I don't know what it is.
Also, I do
almost
think the head on this guy might be a bit too big.
It is, probably. It's a bit too not weird. It's a bit too rodent-y, actually, is the best way to describe it. Like, horsey. No, I don't have a paper, and I need to find a paper on it, but it makes complete sense that most South American mammals do not, because if you didn't know, mammals glow under UV light. A lot of them do.
Well, under infrared, I know we do.
Ultraviolet. No, a lot of mammals glow under ultraviolet too. Um,
Okay.
and it appears that, or I'll see if I can find this paper, if there is a paper, because I've heard of this from somewhere and multiple times. If I'm wrong, or if we can't find a paper, flash up Dominic's spec-evoing. But it makes complete sense that, if you didn't know, the top predators of South America for about 50 million years, during most of the Cenozoic, not 50 million years, maybe 30, were all Arkosaurs. They were birds and crocodilians. Birds and crocodilians, because evidence shows that Thylacus smilus wasn't a top order carnivore. Or if it was not hunting things like this.
No,
And
probably not.
Arkosaurs and most reptiles can see ultraviolet light, and mammals glow and can't see ultraviolet light. So it makes sense that the ones that glow the least would be less hunted. So over time, evolution means they glow less, so they aren't as easily spotted. It's a form of camouflage that we wouldn't even know of, and I don't even know if we could test properly. Let me see.
But at any rate, something I feel might be interesting to bring up with ground sloths in general is, I don't know, their possible ecology. What were these giant beasts eating? And the answer, whatever they wanted. Probably.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of evidence.
Um,
You go actually with this because you've done this.
Yes, I have. So I am still, well, we're all still fairly early in our paleontology careers, but some of the first lab work I ever did was on a giant ground sloth. It wasn't on Megatherium specifically, it was on a smaller relative from North America called Megalonyx jeffersoni, which was actually originally described by Thomas Jefferson, which is always a weird history fact that boggles my mind.
And it's at museums a lot.
Yes. But at any rate, I did lab work on Megalonyx, which would be about half this guy's size. Still huge.
A rhino-sized animal. You know what? Pretty small. That's the paleontologist in you speaking. It's a bit small, average-sized.
Well, at any rate, what we did was we took a bunch of Megalonyx fossils that had been found in a particular region, in our case, Iowa, the state of Iowa, where, if you don't know, which most of you probably don't, some of the last glaciers of the last ice age kind of held out for a while, right in the middle of Iowa. In fact, it was so recent you can actually see it on a map if you look at a high relief map of Iowa. It's just a big old dimple in the middle of the state. And the grad student I was helping collected fossils from all around that footprint. And then we tested them. The fossils were tested to see how contaminated or how fossilized they had been. And then, for the samples that were confirmed to be of minimal contamination, we ran them through for an isotope analysis. So we could see, one, what these things were eating, and two, see if we could get a gauge on the temperature of the area. Which are both things you can kind of do. The temperature is a bit more finicky with warm-blooded animals. You need to be careful with it. And there's a whole lot of science behind that. I don't know, do you think I should dive into it at all, or... quick and dirty explanation. So there are different elements on the periodic table, like oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen. And with almost every element, there are different isotopes. or weights of elements. Each weight interacts a little differently chemically with other elements, and with some of them, they'll appear more often in high temperature environments versus low temperature environments. Two of these that are really good at detecting temperature are hydrogen and oxygen isotopes. You basically just read off what proportion of hydrogen and what proportion of oxygen isotopes you have and plot it on a graph, and it gives you an almost one-to-one depiction of the temperature in the area. It's actually really interesting. And we did that, and go figure. At the foot of a glacier, it was pretty cold. Uh, but we also did carbon and nitrogen isotopes, which help you figure out what the animal was eating. In our case, it was almost certainly, at least mostly herbivore, and it was probably feeding on bushes and trees, which, were pretty common in the area. But that type of study has been done for a lot of different ground sloths. And in fact, our particular study, the reason we ran that analysis, was inspired by a paper that came out in 2021, which found that a particular giant ground sloth, did I seriously lose the link to that? Mylodon, the giant ground sloth Mylodon. Its isotopes were found to resemble more those of an omnivore. So it probably fed on carcasses, if not straight up killed things sometimes.
I would doubt it killed things. I would doubt these things were killing things. It's probably just, oh, death nearby. It probably was a carcass bully, but it's
Yeah, I was
just,
gonna say another term we've brought up before, a corpse bully.
yeah. The other thing is that
Yeah, probably.
herbivory and carnivory are a spectrum. If
Yes.
you ever seen a horse eat baby chicks because it's just
I mean,
nearby?
if I may, yes, they are a spectrum, but if you are eating enough meat, it will show up in your
Oh,
isotope results.
yes, full stop.
Like,
I
we can
agree with
actually
that.
tell the difference. Like, we can tell the difference between vegetarian and omnivorous humans using this method, and they're the
Yes,
same species.
that's true. That's true. It's just that I would assume, because we also have isotopic evidence, because um, the ones with isotopic evidence of omnivory appear to all be mylodonts, and megatheriums appear to, when we do isotopes, all be herbivorous almost completely.
Hmm.
Now, mind you, that's not to say they weren't doing that. It's just it might be a difference either ecologically, or what I would assume if it's crossing like that, probably a physiological difference maybe in their teeth,
Hmm.
that megatheriums appear to almost always be herbivorous and the other ones
Okay,
don't.
I didn't know it was divided like that. I thought it was a more scattershot distribution.
From my very basal readings, that appears to be the thing. That might also explain why mylodonts are the ground sloths that went to the sea.
Oh, you want to talk about sea sloths?
Yeah. So, I posted an image in our group chat a while back that is a horrifying image of a sperm whale named found out that's Zygophysetter specifically.
Yep, I
Hunting
have
a
it saved.
sloth. Hunting a sloth. I believe it's called Thalassocolonus. I'm trying to get its exact name. Uh, yeah, sorry, Thalassoconus. That's a name and a half. Which is a. Oh no, I'm wrong. It's a megathere. I'm wrong.
Oh,
My prediction's thrown out. Never mind. Ignore me. Um,
okay.
it
Also, do you know
appeared.
who the artist was for that?
Ah, let me grab that. Um, or is it? Wait, it might not be Zygophysetter. It might be Acrophysetter. Um, Well,
It is Acrophysetter.
it is Acrophysetter.
Acrophysetter Dynodon.
Yeah! The awful tooth. Um, let me see if I can get because I got this image from Reddit, but by Alberto Guarnieri in our
Alright.
images.
Alberto
Yes,
Ganari. Okay, got it. Oh,
yes.
wow, and I'm just looking up aquatic sloth art, and there's a lot of fun sloth art.
Oh yeah. Um, so, and mind you, this also might spur us into talking about the environment that sloths lived in, as we've kind of hinted at a bunch. But ground sloths were excessively successful. Probably the dominant large herbivore on all of South America were ground sloths. They appeared to
And,
have
I mean,
been in
not to
every
bring them
age.
up again, but elephants are probably a pretty good analog.
Oh god, yes. I say proboscideans in general, not
Or,
just
yeah,
elephants.
proboscideans.
Yeah. Proboscideans in general are probably pretty good analog, especially the fact of we only have 2 living proboscideans today, we only have 2 living sloths today.
Oh, hey, what do you know? Even better.
Yeah. Except instead of getting the giant ones, we got the weird sloths, which is weird to say. Um, yeah, we
Aw,
yeah, we
so it's alright. I found some really cute art that I'm gonna share. It's a mama and a baby going for a swim,
oh, that's
and the
cute. To
mom is
be
standing
eaten
on the
by
bottom of the ocean, and she's helping her baby swim.
they're going to be eaten by a
It's
giant
cute.
50-foot sperm whale.
Well, let's not tell them that.
Yeah,
This isn't
and
Walking with Beasts.
Walking with Beasts having it's so sad that both Walking with Beasts and Sea Monsters came out before the discovery of the macro raptorial sperm whales, all of them, because oh, so I should probably explain what that means. South
Oh,
America.
hey, there. Oh, well, there's the last Noctis escaping Olivia Titan and Megalodon fight.
Yes, it's such good art. So the oceans around South America was weird, not just on land, even though it was weird on land. Land was dominated by giant sloths, things like Toxodon, which is
You know,
you think,
your friendly neighborhood rhino hippo. That's
yeah,
not a rhino or a hippo.
now, you think like Megatherium, you have Thylacolus, which is a saber-toothed thing that for some reason, sheathed its teeth in its own bone and had a prehensile long anteater tongue for some reason. Um, and the
Hmm.
dominant predators were birds and crocodiles. Um, I think the statement from Walking with Beasts episode 1 says it best. Now, mind you, this is a bit thing, but this is a land where birds ate horses. Mind you, there are no horses here yet. Actually, horses do get here, and that statement still goes.
Horse-like
But
notoungulates.
oh yeah, this is a land where this was a land ruled by reptiles. Like, and it never stopped being ruled by reptiles. We'll get with that when we get to Titanoboa. Um, it seems that after
Well,
the
Titanoboa was
big
before
rock,
this.
yeah, but what I mean was that South America was always ruled by reptiles. Is what I mean.
Ah, okay.
Until very recently. Um, Other things that it probably lived with. The other thing that probably ate this, by the way, this thing lived with Arctotherium, which we'll get to as well. Um, Arctotherium, or
Arctotherium.
its cousin in
I
this
don't
game is
think I've heard of
Arctidus.
this before.
Arctidus.
Is it a bear?
Arctotherium is the biggest bear to ever live. It is, yeah, it's a cousin and appears to be a shown of direct evolution, like Smilodon, um, of Arctidus, which is the short-faced bear. Arctotherium was a South American one, and um, appears to be a... Oh, never mind. It's not related to Arcturus. I'm wrong. Megatherium appears to be a very closely related to the modern day spectacle bears. Um, Lives at about the same time as Megatherium. And can I get size? It appears
Um,
that...
too big.
Oh yeah,
I'm looking at a
300
size comparison now. Too
huge,
big.
huge.
I'll put it in our chat.
Yeah, yeah. There's a good image of it. Um, that yes, bigger than
That's
modern day polar
horrifying.
bears, and unlike living bears, Arcturus and Arctotherium have a short face and appear to be completely carnivorous, which is weird for bears. Um, it appears
Yes.
during the Ice Age, bears actually lost their omnivory and either became very much almost completely herbivorous, which is what the cave bear was,
Hmm.
or completely carnivorous. And I guarantee an Arctotherium could take down one of these, an adult one. If a if a grizzly can take down a bison, then
I would agree it is hypothetically possible, but
maybe not.
I don't want to say it happened until we have fossils for it.
Uh,
Which might sound weird to say, but considering the quality of the Pleistocene fossil record,
we might.
like just all the pathologies, all the weird hunting scenarios we found from Pleistocene fossils, like if it happened, we would probably find it. Especially because
Oh,
if it did happen, it probably
we
happened more
have
than
evidence
once.
of it.
Oh well, never. Okay,
There's broken teeth found in. There's been teeth marks found of bears found in ground sloths, as well as horses, tapebeards, camelids, macrocenids, glyptodonts, toxodons, and gomphotheres.
so a bear that ate elephants.
Yeah, yeah. South America, everyone.
The aristocrats.
Yeah. We'll get to bears when we get to the bear in here, which is specifically, I believe it's the cave bear, or it's called the cave bear. I don't know if it's
It,
actually
I
modeled
think
off.
it's supposed to be the cave bear, but it's omnivorous, isn't it?
Yes, but cave bears were omnivorous, even though they were nine. It appears cave bears were mostly herbivorous, but cave bears do have examples of
Yeah,
omnivory. Also, pandas eat meat, so and pandas
yeah,
are herbivorous.
kind of like a lot of herbivores in air
Yeah.
quotes.
But yeah, South America got weird. We haven't even talked about what this thing lived like, and we're an hour into this video. Um,
Well, I mean, I don't know.
yeah,
Let me go punch a tree, and that's a good illustration.
yeah. So,
There you go. That's its lifestyle.
oh yeah. It
I'm not being facetious. That's just its
No.
lifestyle.
Now,
Oh, hey, look, a body.
nom. Um, as we mentioned earlier, Xenarthrans have really strong arms, and it's shown in anteaters. If you ever seen an anteater, giant anteater specifically, they have massive claws and have been known to kill people, but especially they're known to kill jaguars. Now,
Oh, hey, look, this looks like straight out of a scene from Walking with Beasts. There we go.
yeah. Now jaguars, actually, this is really cool. Jaguars, I forgot there's a form of, I should look up what the word is. There's a term in evolution of a creature that is evolved to hunt something else that went extinct but still survives. Jaguars are that example. Jaguars are very
Really?
overly adapted for hunting like capybara, or caiman. They're very over adapted for what they are. It's because jaguars evolved in a time where this king lived. Um, as and it appears that... How did I just lose my train of thought? Oh, but
Oh,
oh no, I got it again. But jaguars, being so overly evolved to hunt what they do, actively are killed and stay away from giant anteaters proves to the fact of how strong Xenarthran's in. And if you scale a giant anteater up to the size of an elephant, you get things that could rip open cars.
I would size that up to a train car, but yeah.
Yeah, you get things. Megatherium and its cousin Amolatherium. I am pronouncing that wrong.
Erematherium. You keep
Erematherium.
saying Amolatherium. Where are you getting Amolatherium?
Eremo. I'm saying more. That's why. Because I'm putting emphasis on the mo for some reason, which I shouldn't
Okay.
be. Erematherium.
But yeah, Erematherium.
Which, by the way, got to South Carolina, which it got up here and has evidence of interacting with humans, which is another thing. There's cryptids that appear to be based on giant ground sloths, South American cryptids.
Yep, which is entirely possible that the
Uh,
earliest South Americans met the last surviving ground sloths.
they probably met Megatherium
If
itself.
not almost a certainty.
Yeah, if they probably met Megatherium itself. I would probably say this was the most dangerous thing on the land plains, even more than mammoths, because one, we have evidence, at least partially, that some ground sloths lived in herds, or I would actually, herds. I thought is there a different word for elephant
Well,
groups?
I think it is just herds, but didn't you say we had evidence for it for Megatherium specifically?
For a moral, yeah, I said it wrong again.
Erematherium?
For Megatherium specifically, which is a very close relative of Megatherium. We have evidence of it in Erematherium, which I guarantee. Let's say, for example, if we use the elephant example, these things probably
Sorry,
acted like.
super quick. That silhouette.
Oh god, that's monstrous. Oh, oh god, this is
Yeah, that
evil. I
silhouette
love
though.
it so much. Let's use the elephant example for the same as is there sexual dimorphism in living sloths? I should probably check that.
I don't know in living sloths. I think there is dimorphism in anteaters. At least giant anteaters.
Okay. No, the sexual dimorphism appears to be color-wise, not size.
In
living sloths.
Okay.
But
there was probably some dimorphism just because they're mammals.
Yeah, mammals do that. But actually, let's use you go first.
Like again, living sloths are weird for sloths.
Yeah. They're weird for Xenarthrans. Excuse me. Sorry.
And actually, kind of speaking of colors, do we have any evidence on like skin color for any ground sloth? Because I know we do have skin preserved.
I don't think so. Let me. I'm double checking my evidence. I can't
and I know
find anything. And mind you, I'm not looking through every single thing of ground sloth because there's a billion of them, but You finding something?
I'm looking at a sample of skin from Mylodon.
I'm looking at Megatheriums, that's why.
I'll just go ahead and send the link to our group chat.
Our handy-dandy group
keep in
chat.
mind, it is 13,000 years old, but the skin appears to be a dark brown.
Yeah.
And the fur is kind of a rusty red.
Yeah.
And appears to be in pretty good condition.
I would assume that there's so many ground sloths, they probably looked all different. Like, The marine ones, I
There's
would,
probably some difference, yeah,
yeah.
but
Um, oh wait, I'm reading about something.
well,
Um,
here's more with brown fur,
oh,
yellow fur.
that's horrifying.
But
It appears that the um both limbs, all the limbs of at least Megatherium, were more modified for strength than others in Arthrans. Now, mind you, that's because it's a hold up at 7-ton body, but that means that you also. Oh god, I'm becoming the void. Um, that means this thing was stronger than average than Arthrans of its size. Ugh. The power that these things probably did is a monstrous. Now, we've talked a lot about other stuff. Do we want to talk about its in-game thing? Because its in-game has some speculative biology.
um,
Which,
well, maybe before then. First off, another glorious example of Mylodon fur.
oh god, we have
Do
more.
we want to talk about the osteoderms?
Oh, that. I don't know much about that. If you want to take that,
Sure. So we brought up osteoderms before. They are
hatred.
bones embedded in the skin. In fact, we talked about it most recently, I think, in our latest Xenarthran,
We did, yeah,
uh, when we talked about Doedicarus. Which, for the record, they could actually be waddling around here because, yeah, yeah, they live together.
yeah,
Um, at any rate, um, yeah, sometimes animals just have bones in the skin. It seems to usually be a defensive adaptation. We see it all the time in dinosaurs. I mean, case in point, see
yeah.
exhibit A. But we see it in mammals quite a bit too. Well, not necessarily quite a bit, but we see it
We
sometimes.
see it in
An
Xenarthrans.
example some people might not expect are cervid antlers osteoderms? Are they modified
Cervids?
osteoderms? I know it's
No.
bone cancer.
No, cervids are not osteoderms. Let me grab cervids. It's not osteoderms because osteoderms are ossified, which means at some point that, from what I understand, either at some point they weren't bone or it's bone growing over something. From what I understand about cervid horns, they are weird and dumb. They are actively, it was bone growing out of the skull. If you didn't know, humans can grow horns too. It's awful and I hate it.
Yeah.
So they are
There's actually
different things.
a really gnarly birth condition, uh, or some congenital condition where your body just repairs injuries with bone.
Yeah.
I think the oldest person to have ever lived with the condition, I think he's in his 30s or 40s, and he has to actively break all of the tiny bones every day just to let himself move.
Yeah. It's not
But on a
great.
less horrifying note, this Megatherium here is actually that's pretty spot on for the colors I'm seeing for the Mylodon, which I think is pretty neat. Um, but yeah, they had osteoderms. They had bones in their skin, probably helped a bit with armor and protection.
Yeah.
Because, why not when you're already the size of an elephant?
Well, you need that. We need protection from those evil crocodiles and humans. Maybe. I would doubt that humans hunted. Well, they probably hunted these, hunted everything, but in my opinion, elephants are a lot easier to trap than this because this has access to hands. So, an el
Yeah,
yeah, this probably could defend itself better. Not saying elephants couldn't, and
they do
oh god,
very well.
yeah. Elephants. We'll get to this in the elephant over there, but elephants have amazing turning radius. I said as a game term. Elephants are able to almost. like very easily spin themselves around. But this thing probably could too, mind you. Um, but elephants are really good at it. But the other thing this thing is showing that it definitely could do is raise on its back feet. We have evidence that it probably
Oh,
could.
yes.
It's four, as I said, limbs are both limbs are very, or all four limbs are very robust. This includes the femur. Appears to be the femur is described as rectangular, which
Hmm,
that's more
that's,
like robust than sauropods. I haven't heard sauropods discussed as rectangular.
I mean, the cross-sectional shape doesn't usually have a ton to do with overall strength. It can have an effect. That just seems like Xenarthran's being really weird again.
Let me see. Uh, oh, I need limbs because they actually described it in limbs. Uh,
I will say,
oh,
from working on Megalonyx bones, their bones are weirdly robust.
yeah.
Even on the smaller giant ground sloth species. Like I worked with a
We
humorous once, and it was just uh, unreasonably buff,
oh,
is how I would describe it.
there is a difference for megatheres. Megatheres,
Oh,
their tibia and fibula are fused at the proximal,
hmm.
and they're fused at both ends. Or sorry, Megatherium has it fused at both ends. So, so if you know what your tibia and fibula
Okay,
are,
yeah, that's a big weight bearing adaptation.
yeah, your tibia and fibula are the two bones located in your shin. I've snapped them in half, but they tend to not be fused.
Ew.
Oh, it's awful. They're not fused. Um, it appears that megatheres they fuse it near their hip or with the close at their hip. Um,
You mean the knee, right?
yes, close. They fuse it at their proximal, close to the hip end, while Megatherium fuse it at their distal end, which is insane. It also it almost ends up developing it has a massive reduction. It loses digits 1 and 2 and increases the size of all of its other digits with almost losing most of its phalanges. It basically develops an elephant foot almost
Honestly, it sounds
accidentally.
more like developing a sauropod foot.
Yeah, actually it's probably closer.
Um,
Oh yeah.
and actually, that kind of brings up something we
Ugh.
haven't mentioned. Their feet were sideways.
Yeah, I just read that. Um their foot inwardly rotated. Historically, the foot was suggested to be near vertical, although more recent shows it was much shallower. Which basically means they walked on the sides of their feet, kind of. Um, they're weird, and it's massive weight bearing adaptations. Um,
They're the weirdest combination of animal traits I think I've ever heard crammed into a
a-
single genus.
actually, if
No,
we
sorry, not genus, family.
if we want to say a Megatherium foot, that looks that actually looks more developed than even sauropods do. Look at that.
It's funny, that actually kind of resembles a diplodocid foot,
It does, but at
a
least
diplodocid hind foot.
it's really bad. Um,
I mean,
uh,
keep in mind, sauropods appear to have started with relatively normal dinosaur feet, and then got weird. These things just started out bizarre and then worked with what they had because that's what evolution does.
well, yeah, and with the work that they had, it's actually proposed that they're so weird and they tend to walk on their knuckles and their back feet are weird, is because they might have evolved from something similar to a mole. Which, if you've ever seen what a moles do to their skeletons, ah, that's an awful thing. So moles basically develop themselves into torpedoes. Their limbs literally are like this on their body. So they're re-evolving their limbs back. Mind you, they're probably not as developed as moles. Moles get weird, but is a very much a burrowing animal that has re-evolved to not be burrowing. Which
Also, yeah, I'm sending a photo of a Diplodocus foot. They look so it, corporate wants you to identify the difference. It's the same picture.
yeah, we're gonna have to post the. Ooh, wow. We're gonna have to
It
post both those. Um,
it's so bizarre.
is
Why would you converge on sauropods?
that's interesting, actually. Okay, so
And
this is
and actually,
interesting. You go first.
yeah, go ahead. Well, I was gonna say, and it's weird because diplodocids are also like we have evidence that they actually reared up quite a bit too.
We have some evidence that they maybe started bipedal, right? Like as
Well, all
babies.
sauropods did. I'm just saying. Oh, yeah, they ran at least bipedally as babies.
Yeah,
I think we have that for.
we have a trackway.
I think they're diplodocids. I don't remember if they're diplodocines or apatosaurines, but at least
They're diplodocid.
diplodocids. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, that it's interesting because I was going to talk about that. Ground sloths, we have evidence of them digging and making burrows. It appears that that is not a thing that Megatherium and Arematherium did. Arematherium, it's actually described that um it was also unable to perform digging activities, as has been demonstrated for other ground sloths, which means the construction of the forearm, such as the manipulation of objects, was minimized due to the limited ability of the fingers to move in relation to each other. Now,
Hmm.
what that basically means, from what I understand, is that it's its arms were basically locked in this position because of how it walked, so it couldn't actually dig because it's hard to dig like that. Unlike other ground sloths, which we have evidence of them, even some of them possibly being like complete diggers and lock and dying in them. There's a cave somewhere with a lot of sloth dung in it.
Yes. No, I cannot remember its name, but I
Nothrus
saw it
something.
earlier.
Let's
Nolthrio. The
Nothriotherium? No, Nothriotherops. Oh, it's the
no,
Shasta
yeah,
thing.
Nothrotheriops.
It's
What was that?
Shasta thing. But wait, there's the Shasta ground sloth. That is what I was thinking. Yes, the Shasta ground sloth, which we have evidence of it digging. Um, we also have evidence of it doing other things. Um, yeah, it's very cool. But I think we should talk
Yeah,
about its in-game thing because I'm actually getting pretty tired. So I would like to go to bed at a
that
reasonable
is
time.
fair. How long have? Yeah, we've already been going for almost an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Uh, so in game, the Megatherium does a lot of interesting things. First, I like that it walks on all fours, but it goes bipedal. Um, and it's an omnivore,
specifically
which is
for
something you would not expect. It loves insects.
in
It
hell,
is a hybrid of a giant ground sloth and a giant anteater,
which is cool.
and I personally really like that.
Yes, it's really good at doing that. It has like a massive multiplier on killing anything that drops chitin, right?
Yes, any sort of insect deals extra damage to you, and it gathers extra chitin, or for anyone who hasn't played Ark, shell material from. In fact,
Yee.
if I can spawn in,
Spawn in a
uh,
Arthropleura. That's a good one.
yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh.
but you can even
Sorry,
see
everyone.
they're also like an early warning system of if bugs are nearby because
They go
they'll start
insane.
glowing, they get a buff.
Yeah. They're also passive, except near bugs, which they murder a lot of. So they're very helpful
Yes.
mount. Um, It's also referencing
When
that,
near bugs, they become extremely aggressive
yeah,
to everything.
yes,
Oh,
goths.
that didn't work.
I believe that's also where its scientific name in this comes from because it is Megatherium. And this, I will not reading the dossier because I'm tired, and yeah, sorry everyone. Um,
I can read it out. It's
Thank
fine.
you. It is Megatherium formipaver, which
Oh,
if
well that arthropleura just went through the floor.
formipaver, um,
Here, I'll unclaim this and watch them go wild.
is- we have mammalia.
Well, oh, they didn't get the buff. Weird. Oh,
Hmm.
no, one did. Yep. So they get this kind of reddish haze around their head, and when they have that, they're aggressive to everything, and they deal way
Yeah.
more damage than normal.
Oh yes,
Like
very much so.
it, a massive amount of damage, and it lasts for like 2 minutes, I think.
It lasts for a while.
So they're arguably like one of the better creatures to go through a cave
That
system
Arthropleura is
with.
still alive.
And
Oh,
they're
you tamed it. That's why.
oh that one's tamed. And they're also
Yeah,
really good on other maps. Like
they
weirdly
are.
enough, they spawn on the DLC map Scorched Earth. And Scorched Earth is full of bugs, so it's really good there.
Yeah. We also have evidence that some probably lived in weird deserts. I think the Shasta ground sloth, as we talked about earlier, we have evidence of it living in a
Oh yeah, it lived in
deserty
Nevada,
area.
didn't it?
Yeah, and Nevada, even probably during the Pleistocene, was probably awful to live in.
Oh, it was still a desert, I think.
Yeah,
But yeah, if you're tired, I'll go ahead. I'll
thank you.
read through the dossier. Yes, sir. Did we read the owls dossier?
We did not. Did we? We might have. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Nor do I. Oh no.
Um. Oh dear.
It's fine.
Oh well. So its name is Megatherium formipavor, which that basically means like ant processor, right?
Yeah. Ant processor
Um.
and something. Yeah.
Yeah. Megatherium formipavor is one of the larger mammals on the island. This is most shocking because it is essentially a giant sloth, if you crossbred it with an elephant and a bear. Because of its size and girth, the Megatherium is uncommonly resistant to being knocked unconscious. Despite primarily being an herbivore, a typical Megatherium is very intent on consuming the island's many insects. It is particularly adept at removing their insides without damaging much of the shell, maximizing extraction of chitin. The otherwise slow and peaceful Megatherium becomes faster and aggressive in the presence of these creatures. Domesticated, Megatherium is an incredibly useful tame, so long as you don't intend to fight other tribes. Its huge size, resistance to torpor, and voracious attitude towards insects makes it ideal for farming large quantities of chitin from the bugs of the island, or simply defending against them. So yeah, it's an anteater,
Yeah, big boy. It's also a really
and
good
as we've
offensive team,
and
right?
just as we've already been over, it's appropriately sized. Like the
Elephant.
head is probably a bit too big, but yeah,
Uh,
no. Yeah, no, like 3 stories tall. Yeah, that sounds about right.
yeah, it's monster. So,
Maybe slightly oversized, but not much,
it's
honestly.
also a pretty good offensive team, if I remember correctly from my days of playing Ark.
Yeah, it actually has pretty high attack and health. It's hard to knock out, like the dossier said. And if you're going anywhere where there might be a bug, I mean, that damage does not lie.
Like, this would be an amazing cave mount if it wasn't massive.
Even then, it's good for larger caves.
That's true. Um,
Or like you can leave it in a large area, attract a bunch of bugs, and bring them back in for a slaughter.
that's true. Speaking of not slaughtering, we should get to ranking this thing because it's a long ass video already. Unless, do we have anything else
That's
to talk
fair.
about it?
Um, I don't think so. Other than I like it, but
Very much.
maybe we should start with the
Gojira's,
ranking of the guy who is not
which
here.
I will read out because you read out the snow owls.
Already.
Um, for my ranking on Megatherium, A. I love its design, and it continues the trend of the mammals feeling more alive than the dinosaurs. But its bug buff mechanic always struck me as a bit weird. He votes A. Um, Following the theme of Gojira being a tiny bit harsh, um, this is an S for me. The bug buff makes sense, and it's referencing an anteater. It's cool. I do understand Gojira being that, but he is spot on
Hmm.
with the mammals feel more alive than the dinosaurs. This feels like
Hmm.
Megatherium, except for its feet, which now looking at it look weirdly human, and I don't like that. But I can ignore that for now
Well,
because I'm not gonna be looking at them.
yeah, no.
Hmm.
How do you rate this man
Oh,
then?
S, high S, very much S.
Fair. I mean, I agree. It feels alive, and it has a bunch of little details that I really appreciate. Um, I appreciate it has small ears because it lives in the cold. We kind of
Hmm.
mentioned this briefly, either at the very beginning or before we started recording, but it has kind of thick fur because,
Yes.
again, it lives in the cold. Like a lot of cold weather ground sloths, like Megalonyx, the one I have the most familiarity with.
Yeah.
It's an omnivore too. It loves very calorie rich meals, like insects,
Mhm.
because it lives in the cold. Like it's cold weather adapted. I think it's a great interpretation of the animal, and it references some really cool science by making it
Yeah.
an omnivore.
It's very
I
cool.
agree. IS.
Yeah.
And actually, another detail I just noticed while we were recording, I love it has a little paunch.
It does. Yes.
Like it has a dad bod, and I love that. It's
It
perfect.
should. It should have a beer belly. This thing
Agreed.
is a monster, and I adore it. And with that,
Yes.
its ranking. I've also
Shall
learned
we rank it?
on our ranking for some reason this ranking is missing one creature, and it's missing a Margosaurus, and I don't know why because
Oh,
it has Simulcrops and Dinopithecus on it, so I don't know why it's missing a Margosaurus.
well, let's hope we don't roll it next, or maybe we do because oh wow, we can talk about a lot
I
with the
hate it.
Marcosaurus.
I hate it so much. It's disgusting and ugly, and it ruins one of my favorite Spoiler for a Margosaurus, I despise it. But our second S as a
Ooh.
mammal, you can
Oh
kind of
no.
already
Wait.
tell how this game treats certain things based on our already tier list.
Yeah, like huh. It two both of our S's are mammals. The mammals either seem to crop out at the top or the bottom of the list.
I also have a feeling Daedon's an outlier.
Well, I mean, Gotcha's also down there.
Gotcha's a fake animal,
That's fair. And
but
Noglin's technically a synapsid.
it's not. We discussed that it's not. Amphibian. Prove me wrong.
Well, shall we do the other thing we do at the end of the
Yes.
videos? All right,
Yes,
folks.
let's.
It's our favorite time, the thing we end all the episodes with as I load it up and I try not to yawn and fail. You keep saying you're tired. You made me tired. How dare you?
Yeah.
All right. Any bets?
I don't know. I would want the light pets because they recently added a light pet in Ascended. They added a spider light pet. So I want the light pets. If you didn't know, we combined all
Okay.
the light pets into one because, yeah,
Hmm.
I we
See,
like two horror videos.
I'm hoping for a fun dinosaur
Like, who
because
uh,
it's been a while since we've had a fun dinosaur.
which one wants to have a dinosaur? But Kentrosaurus? Episode
Uh,
5?
non-avian dinosaur, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Snow Owl, blah, yeah.
Well, let's see.
Yeah. It's gonna roll Terrorbird to spite you, by the way.
Could do Archaeopteryx.
Oh, that's also true. I thought it were Hey, you forgot to
Oh,
remove something off the
whoops.
list!
Yeah, I thought we were gonna get Dodo, and I was so
Yeah,
excited.
I was also like, we got Dodo to spite you specifically."
Here, wait. Is Megatherium still on here?
No.
Mega.
No,
Okay, I
it's
did
not.
take off Megatherium.
You didn't take off Snow Owl. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, take two. I
Oops!
actually would have been happy with the Dodo.
Same! It would also been funny. I actually thought we were gonna get Magabasaur, and I was gonna scream. Um
Oh.
Oh, Desmodus! Oh, wait.
Oh wait. Okay, that's not a dinosaur, but that's
That's
pretty
a good
cool.
mammal! And
It's a
it's
good
a
mammal.
mammal we can talk about, and it's a form of arc gigantism that I think is cool, and I love it. It's a bat! And it's not the dumb
Oh
bat, if I remember correctly, right? Is it
no, it's
is it the
not. It's the big cool bat.
it's the big one?
Yeah.
Yes!
Which I mean, we could group the little one in with it since it's just a smaller bat with rabies.
Well, you know what? Next episode's gonna be a bat special, everyone. We're gonna surprise, what? Because it's just called Oryx or Onyx, right?
Onyx. Onyx.
Yeah, Onyx. Um, but yeah, next week we're gonna do both bats. AK, it's gonna be Desmodus, a cool bat mixed with one of
A
Ark's
bat with
dumb
rabies. Which
cave
actually, you know,
creatures.
bats do spread rabies, so
Oh,
that could be neat.
oh, highly. Um, this bat specifically would, because vampire bats are a high carrier of rabies. Um, spoiler for what this thing is. It is a real giant vampire bat. It's not as big as this though. But
Well, on that fun note, thank you for joining us, folks. If you enjoyed the show, please do the whole YouTube liking, subscribing thing. Tell us in the comments what you would have rated our Megatherium.
yes,
And if you have any questions or corrections, please do post those as well.
and
If
one
we
more thing.
make mistakes, we try to correct them.
Like me with the color thing that appears to not be a actual scientific paper, even though I feel like someone should look into that. But it appears to be a spec-evo thing that some spec-evo
Ah,
people do. But I wouldn't mind if people did research into it because that would make sense. But I'd also want to add one more thing. If you want us to specifically talk about anything or answer any questions, or have any topics you want us to cover with Desmodus and the other bats, feel free to leave those in the comments too. Gives us a good talking and a jumping off point. So we're not rambling, even though it appears as
we will
these
still ramble.
oh god, yeah. We actually were pretty on topic today, unlike Snow Owl, which we were not.
Well, at any rate, see you later, folks.
See ya, see ya!
Keep your blood warm.